It looks like I must say it. Kusakabe stocks are on the rise. What's up, guys? I'm Hunter here, and here we are to do a breakdown slash spoiler discussion for chapter 254 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as the decisive battle in the uninhabited demon-infested Shinjuku, part 25 or 26, something. We're in the 20s. But ladies and gentlemen, golly gee willikers. We do have a lot to talk about, but of course, I'm on a binding vow. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Ending me. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do have to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, I think this is one of the rare times this is actually my truly organic voice. Then again, it will fade. I promise you that. This is what happens when you record immediately after waking up. But with it being the case, let me just set this timer, gosh darn it. There we go, 15 minutes. Oh, sweet mother of mercy. Okay, so, primary thing, we gotta open up and talk about immediately. Before we start glazing, because I haven't even looked. Like, I literally have just so freshly woken up, I immediately went to the spoilers and just got them. So I can't imagine. But one thing I'm going to lay out cleanly, right at the beginning, look at Sukuna's face. Look at his face. Think of his mentality. Alright? And remember, hold on, wait, is my voice coming back to normal? There we go, it's rising back to its regular register. But, remember, Sukuna is fighting against someone who's using domain hacks, while he himself cannot use domain hacks. Alright? Alright? I swear to the heavens, if I see some crazy next level Kusakabe top 10 slop, I'm gonna lose my mind. Alright? Because we open up and we do get to see that Kusakabe immediately resorts to simple domain. Of course, like, what else is he gonna resort to? The man doesn't have a technique. Unfortunately, this kind of does slaughter any hope for Kusakabe having, like, his own unique technique. A lot of people were definitely hoping that Kusakabe was going to, like, whip out some crazy new secret next level technique. I'm glad he didn't. I'm really glad he didn't. But with it being the case, he opens up with simple domain and has Sukuna looking at him like this. Like, really, dude? Of all the people they sent you. You're the last resort. In fact, didn't I body bag you not 2 seconds ago in 253? And that, in fact, he did. However, we do get to see that Kusakabe uses the properties of symbol domain. Now, if you remember, this is something that Miwa could do as well. Of course, Miwa's trash, though, so she was never going to be allowed to do it to the same tier that Kusakabe did. Essentially, what Kusakabe is doing is abusing the fact of, I forget exactly what the technique is called, but the ability to react automatically to anything that enters your domain. Because remember, while simple domain is in fact simple, it is still a domain, meaning that the auto-targeting effects still occur. And with Sukuna's generic slashes, especially being ones that do travel and being composed of cursed energy, with Kusakabe's level of mastery, he's able to redirect all these slashes, knock them all away so he doesn't have to worry about them in the traditional sense, which is, once again, very, very impressive. Like, you're gonna hear me, like, I'm mainly just, like, preparing, because I can hear them. If you don't know who I can hear, yes, you do. Just think about it a little bit. But with it being the case, we see him deflect a whole bunch of slashes. And notably, he doesn't take any damage, which is much more impressive than his previous feat against Higuruma. But of course, before, when he was protecting Higuruma, he wasn't using this, I believe it's Battle Sword drawing. He was just using Simple Domain to try and dull the slashes as much as possible. And that's still an impressive feat in and of itself, because Simple Domain is not actually meant to do that. Like, it's domain application that's meant to turn off curse techniques. Simple Domain is meant to turn off short hits. So the fact that Kusakabe was able to do that at all is impressive. So to see him knock away Sukuna's slashes, fantastic. And then we get to see that Kusakabe pretty much immediately returns back to base. Because remember, the basis of Battle Sword drawing is that you need to maintain the same position. It's what Maki did to throw off Miwa when she broke the spear, threw a piece of it, and then forced Miwa out of her stance, and then Maki was able to put the beats on her. But Kusakabe, being a master of the new shadow style, essentially just stays in place. And even Sukuna's like, oh, are we really doing this? Right here? Right now? I mean, okay, bet. And he just throws out more slashes. Which, once again, I'll chalk this up. I'll chalk a lot of this chapter up to Sukuna feeling awfully... once again, just look at his face. He's feeling awfully playful. Like, Here's the thing. All dismantle speeds are uniform, though. Right? That seems to be the common consensus that the community has come to. At least in my comment section. I'm not sure. I'll need to do, like, more branch-out research. I'll ask other people, too. But, like, at least in my community, it appears that everyone just believes dismantle slashes are uniform in speed. So, it is still very impressive that Kusakabe is doing this. Once again, the impressiveness of it is dull for the fact that, one, Sukuna is likely not trying very hard. But still, he just got reamped by a black flash. Not to full output, but his output's starting to come back naturally. And two, if all dismantle speeds are uniform... even with the sure hit, the fact that Kusakabe is able to knock most of them away, like, he does take seemingly little slices here specifically, and it seems to be what Sukuna mocks him for, but still very, very impressive that Kusakabe is able to do this with no more than simple domain hacks, which really makes you think if you could have gotten more people to this level, like, that would be this would be a good thing for Yuji to have, especially considering, remember, his arms are immune, for the most part, to Sukuna's slashes, so if Yuji had something like this, except he relied on his hands only, which we're going to see that you can do, it could have been a nice buff for Yuji, but once again, it seems like they are focused on something completely different. What that is? But with that being the case, we see Kusakabe lock in once more, and then we get a little bit of flashback, a little bit more glazing to why Kusakabe is the strongest grade 1 sorcerer. And notably, he gets interesting praise from all the different parties, from Meimei and Nanami, and Uyui, I guess, but he's kind of just there. And especially Gojo Satoru, they all continue to praise Kusakabe. And ultimately, they find him an anomaly. For Kusakabe isn't just powerful for the sake of being powerful, if you will. He's powerful for the sake of his kindness, of his sweetness, of his pure heart. Because Kusakabe, no matter how much he'll run away, no matter how much he'll go away, no matter how much he fights for his own self-preservation, in the end, when the chips are down, if there's one man you can rely on, it's Atsuya Kusakabe. Which is nice. And we do get to see that ultimately, the moment that Kusakabe notices that, I smell a word slash. You can tell that Sukuna is about to switch out the flow. Kusakabe then expands the range of his symbol domain, which is something we've seen people do. Well, here's the thing. Maybe Gojo technically doesn't expand it, but the symbol domain that we see from Gojo is relatively large, especially in comparison to other symbol domain users we've seen. It's bigger than Yuki's, it's bigger than Kusakabe's typical one, it's bigger than Miwa's, definitely. But it looks like Kusakabe has just developed the ability, once again, that further mastery and refinement of New Shadow style, to the point where he can fully expand the range of his domain. Well, his symbol domain. And by allowing that, he gets the properties of his sure hit technique, which is anything that enters the range of his domain gets slashed. So we get, once again, the glaze for Kusakabe being the coolest and kindest sorcerer ever. Bada bing, bada boom. Kusakabe lands numerous slashes on Sukuna. Now, there is an immediate question here. Are these slashes doing damage? If they are, I'm gonna hurl. But if they aren't, because Sukuna doesn't seem to maintain the damage later on in the chapter, I'm big chillin'. But notably, he does land like a lot of slashes. Of course, he's abusing the game mechanics, essentially. He has sure hit turned on because Sukuna is technically in his domain range, so of course he's going to be able to land all these slashes. Which, no, I'm going to preempt this now. Kusakabe is not faster than Itadori. He's not faster than Maki. He's not faster than Yuta. Heaven forbid, maybe he could be faster than Akari, though. Akari's kind of I'm kidding, Akari fans, I'm kidding. But, like, he's not faster than any of them. Presumably not. He's just, once again, abusing a game mechanic. But the question is this game mechanic abuse actually doing damage? Because we see all these slashes, right? And this all looks like juice. But then, at least from my first read-through, I'll go further in depth in the juicier, thicker discussion, though I gotta admit, this is a if I can capture it. Please, I can't capture it. But that is a cool panel of Kusakabe slashing everything. But, notably, Kusakabe, I'm not even sure if this is a rookie mistake or Sukuna is just that bulky. I'm going to lean to the fact that Sukuna is just that bulky, though. Kusakabe breaks his sword on Sukuna's body, which means he may have over-imbued it with cursed energy, or by just sheer simple thing, you swing something hard enough against something durable enough, and it breaks. And you see what I mean? Where I'm not sure if these slashes actually count as slashes, because unless Sukuna's RCT has leaped up to the point where those shallow cuts immediately healed with no steam showing at all, he should have visible damage here, right? Like we see, let me see if I can manipulate this a little bit more. We see slashes take place on his shoulders and across his chest, but then here in this next panel, he's like literally perfectly fine. So like, unless it's supposed to be Gege just forgetting the details, like not a page later, I don't think Kusakabe actually did any damage, and if he did, it's very slight. So once again, I don't think, even with his simple domain hacks, I don't think his AP is like up there to damage Sukuna, which makes sense, especially considering Sukuna's output is being restored. I would be actively bamboozled if Kusakabe was able to damage Sukuna at all, not to talk of consistently. However, we do get to see that Sukuna's like, okay, neat. But Kusakabe immediately starts going in with the hands. And once again, look, no damage on Sukuna from the countless slashes. So maybe it's just his RCT's back, maybe it's Kusakabe did no damage. I'm leaning, because of how consistent it is that Sukuna has no damage marks on him, I'm leaning to the idea that Kusakabe did no damage. He's legit just stalling right now. But the stalling is actually pretty impressive. He's resorting straight to hands with a broken blade. And Sukuna's actually low-key entertaining him. He's like, oh, would you look at this? And this is where they call him the kindest sorcerer in history. And we see him get... I feel like Gege saw all the memes of Kusakabe doing the Honor One panel and decided to throw his own variation in there. He's at Make It Canon, and Kusakabe's weaving through the dismantles and gets up there, grabs his blade, then proceeds to use up, not necessarily construction. He uses, I forget what it's called. I think this was a technique he hinted at earlier, to restore the end of his blade with cursed energy. Lunge in, go to do real damage to Sukuna, probably put a binding vow on it and everything, only to end up just like his student. A blade caught, disrespectfully. And Sukuna even mocks him. Really? You went for my heart. Come on now. Be less predictable. And then Kusakabe gets one tapped off screen. I mean, like, that's fine. Once again, I feel about Kusakabe in the same way that I felt about Higuruma and Kashimo. Like, yeah, of course Kusakabe wasn't going to do any real damage. We need to keep some sort of narrative scaling intact. But we see Uyui comes in to clutch up as Kluey, I guess we've been calling him now. Like, he's been the clutch master. He comes in to save Kusakabe, who, seemingly enough, I'm not sure if he's supposed to still be alive. I think he is. I think, like, sure, he got double slash across the chest, but notably, he's still, like, he's not in 4 pieces, essentially, so he's probably still alive, just extremely fatigued, considering how much cursed energy and how much of damage that was. But we see Uyui come in, and Sukuna's like, hey, you know, I heard you're supposed to get rid of the white mage in the modern era, and you look like a pretty annoying white mage. So he's about to immediately clap Uyui. Call him Mei. But he's about to clap Uyui only to instantaneously have Uyui be saved by Miguel. Yes. But I don't even know how Miguel did it. Did he straight perception blitz Sukuna? Like, I have no idea how Miguel did it, because I don't see the black rope in his hands. And of course, like, the whole point was that the black rope was destroyed. That's what he and Yuta went to Africa for. So Miguel popping up the end here is crazy. Like, not on my bingo card. Is they really not on my bingo card? I was not expecting Miguel of all characters to pop up. I'm not complaining. I'm more than happy to have Miguel back. And notably, I've low-key, admittedly not too much, but I've been mentioning Miguel's weirdly durable. Like, I know JJK0 is weird because of how many things just aren't established at that point, so, and especially considering Gojo's character motivation at the time. But, like, Miguel does eat numerous likely blue punches from an adult Gojo 9 years after an inventory. I'm just saying. Of course, the black rope was disrupting the technique. But still, the fact that Miguel was able to... unless he's teleported, unless he also developed a teleportation technique, Miguel... Not perception blitz, because once again, Sukuna seems to immediately track him with his eyes. He just, and Sukuna even asks, like, dude, who are you? Because, like, he wasn't there. Sukuna was not conscious at the point, and Ishidori was not conscious at the point. And it seems like Megami, once again, just wasn't invented by the time of Zero. And if he was, he just wasn't there. So, like, it's entirely reasonable that Sukuna knows nothing about Miguel. So we may get Miguel versus Sukuna next chapter. No Maki get up this chapter, which is unfortunate. I mean, she's still recovering from the Black Flash. No Yuta return this chapter either. But I think we may get another chapter of stalling, and then maybe the heavy hitters are going to return. Once again, I keep saying this, but who knows, will probably never happen. This seems like the perfect transition point. Like, maybe we finally wrap up Hikari versus Arume. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Like, I have genuinely no idea. Maybe not. Maybe we do. I don't know. I'm intrigued. Gay, please. I don't know. But overall, an interesting chapter. Once again, this is shockingly enough a very character-focused chapter. And it has some minor scaling implications because of, like, simple domain hacks. And depending on who you think Kusakabe can damage and what kind of numbers you can do with simple domain, like, that's some good stuff. It's solid enough. But once again, we're kind of in the fugue state, where nothing Kusakabe did actually mattered, other than stalling for time, which is good, because we need to stall for time right now. But, like, scaling-wise, I'm not sliding Kusakabe up anywhere. He's not beating my goat Ryu. I'm sorry, Kusakabe fans. Don't you dare try and glaze that man. But with that being the case, very, very good work. I'm interested to see Miguel cook. However, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave man in the mirror on the Michael Jackson type beat in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Who to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos second of the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. See things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Yes, and I become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Zach with a pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Sukuna Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, Red Wolf 4765, Eternal Flame, and Teen Mitgao. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Steron, Sean, Panda Goat, Midnight Lord 21, Metal Solid Crisis, Kevin, Ignil, and EHAC1. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a big thank you to our $10 member, Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $10 patrons, Joaquin and Idemokami. Along with another juicy thank you to our $25 patron, ChinaDoll09. And I'd like to give a final Giga Gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.